Morning. My name is Ernest Baafi, and it's a privilege for me to share my thoughts on breeding African forgotten foods, the case of root and tubers in Ghana. I'll present on a brief introduction, breeding objectives, breeding approach, some challenges, opportunities, and concluding remarks. Forgotten foods are also known as ancient or orphan crops, and these are a class of crops that have received little attention in terms of research, policy, and commerce. These are typically in Africa, Asia, and South America, and they are important part of local diets. The African Orphan Crop Consortium lists about 100 African forgotten crops, some indigenous, some are introduced centuries ago. These are made up of 50% each of annuals and perennials. Only 11% are root crops. The forgotten root and tubers in Ghana are the yam, sweet potato, cocoyam, taro, frafra potato. Cassava may not be considered as orphan crop because of relatively diverse and wider utilization, cultivation, trade, and research policy attention over the years. Roots and tubers remain untapped resource despite releasing some varieties. It's reported that some cultivars were not adapted because of insufficient consideration of farmers and consumers' preference. So for us to have a smart breeding objective, we take into consideration a clear identification of stakeholders' constraints and preferences. Our breeding goal is to develop end-user preferred varieties using participatory approach. And the breeding objective is to develop and release staple type varieties, highly tolerant to major biotic and abiotic. Our breeding scheme takes into consideration germplasm from local sources introduced from outside the country. From our hybridization block, and mutation breeding is also used. And accelerated breeding scheme is used for our evaluation and selection. Where markers are available, marker assisted selection is used, and mother baby trials are employed in our evaluation scheme because of the large number of genotypes that we handle at the time. The NIAS is also used to screen root quality. The traits we take are root and the tuber yields. If it's cassava, we can also take gare yield. If we are interested in the leaves as vegetable, we take leafy yield. For diseases and pests, African cassava mosaic virus and anthracnose disease for cassava. For cocoyam, root rot and dashing mosaic virus. For sweet potato, Salus acidosis and sweet potato viral disease. For taro, leaf blight is taken into consideration. Yam mosaic virus and anthracnose, and then drought tolerance is also seriously taken care of. For the root or tuber quality traits, high dry matter and high starch content are taken into consideration. For cooking quality, we take into consideration cooking quality, which involves mealiness and poundability. Then functional and physicochemical properties are also taken. For beta carotene, cassava and sweet potato, beta carotene is also taken. And for sweet potato, non or low sweetness is also being taken. Some challenges that we encounter are complex genetic and incompatibilities, narrow genetic base, difficulty in assessing molecular markers, inadequate self-motivation scientists to work on orphan crops, no or very little government support for research, very little external research collaboration and funding sources, climate variability, and non-existing seed industry. The opportunities that are available now and in the future include the availability of critical mass of scientists, research collaboration, markers, molecular markers, assured returns on investment, developed seed system, job opportunity. And in conclusion, research attention to forgotten crops will make them high esteem even among the young generations, influence their prospects for industrialization. It will ensure their sustained utilization and trade, and simultaneously establish their contribution to food and nutrition security as well as. Thank you for your attention.